talk a little bit for me about like the gap between sales to production, because some people get like a little bit lost in that, because when you're in that sales side, right, everything's a dream, right? I'm fantasizing about my Barndo, like, you're showing your little pin board, your Pinterest board to everybody. You got all this stuff, and like you're working with the design team and they're drawing it, and then you get that email and you're like, oh, it's the one, and like all this stuff is just kind of like building and building and building. And then you sign and you move over to production, and like the objective is different, right? Sales is like, how can I get you as much of your dream as possible within the budget that you're, able to spend or want to spend. And it, you kind of go from like watercolor to permanent marker, and so, a lot of people, I feel like, go into the construction side and they're just like, where did the magic go? Because now it's just, there's machinery out there. They're pushing up dirt. Job sites are dirty, like just your home does not look beautiful until the final moments, right? And if there's ever a time where we field more phone calls from people, it's during construction, and we're just like, your home is still in construction. Like, oh, yeah, no, I understand everything you're saying. It's still in construction. It's not going to look like a finished masterpiece until it's a finished masterpiece. But that bridge between the two, I'm excited about that. So, like, what are you guys doing for clients to kind of help bridge them into that RSB moment and then into that breaking ground part of the build to where this dream starts becoming reality? Because at the end of the day, that's what everything's for, right? Like turning impossible dreams into possible realities. That takes dirty boots. That takes some rough dudes that, build these things for a living that aren't really there. They're looking at the paper and they're building that, So do a little build up there, like how you envision this, like helping to, one, create better expectations for clients, but then how does that then improve their experience overall?
I think the first thing to realize is our onboarding process is about 60 to 90 days, whereas the build process can take up to 12 months. So there's a big difference in time frame for both of those processes. Something that we're doing to help bridge that gap and that experience is we, number one, are working with the client from the start, and then we're helping do the handoff from the sales agent to our PM and kind of filling in some of those areas. Our project managers are out in the field a lot. They don't always have access to internet service, their phone. You might not be able to get in contact with them. And so we're that second set of someone that you can actually call. We're in the office and say, hey, I'm trying to get a hold of this person, and we can kind of bridge that gap to make those things happen if there are questions. And the other aspect is in construction, there are times where I feel like to the client, it seems like nothing's happening because you don't see them out there every single day, when in reality, there are things happening. They're just behind the scenes, or we're waiting on X, Y, and Z to move forward with the next step of the process. And so not everything, you're involved in a lot of the onboarding process, whereas with construction, you get to see in Builder Trend what your schedule is like, but it's just a little bit of a slower process. So we're here to kind of set those nerves at ease, be there to listen to you, and to kind of, if you have something you want to vent about, be there so you can vent to us and give you more of that perspective of what's actually happening.
I love it. I love it. And if you guys are listening, I hope that you hear, like, we are listening. If there's, the number one thing is communication. And I think that's a natural thing for people, is like you're either over communicated or you're under communicated. You're never communicated enough, right? Like the thing is, like, when you want to be heard. And so if you feel like you can't be heard, then it creates frustration. And so, like that's like a psychological side of this build, and something that we put a lot of value in it. Like, we don't want to just build your home and be done. We want you to be a raving fan when we're done. And that can't happen if you feel like you can't communicate with someone or you can't talk to someone, and kind of helping identifying those roles, because your project manager is not just building your house. He's running 8 to 10 houses. And the chances are, because we're not a tract home builder, those 8 to 10 houses are not on the same street. He may have an hour or 90 minutes of windshield time in between projects, and he's managing all of those, and he's trying to handle all of those situations. And so, like, when you have that moment on your project where you feel like, oh my God, somebody needs to know this, he probably knows, but he's done it 150 times. And so it's, to him, it's like, I know how this will get fixed. And so sometimes, like, you get in that, like, the best builders aren't thinking about how like you're processing this job site. They're thinking about, I got to get this thing done. I got to get them moved in, and I got to make sure it's done on time, and I got to make sure that it's done on budget. And they're battling with material deliveries, subcontractor labor. You know, you can't prohibit things from happening. Like, you know, we've had builds where, you know, somebody drove off the road and drove through their home 30 days before they're supposed to move in it. And now 6 months later, we had to basically tear down half the house and rebuild the whole thing and do everything. And now they're moving into their home. But, like, that's an unexpected caveat, right? That's extreme conditions. But, you know, you got a plumber and his kid's sick. He's a human too. Like, something's going to happen that's going to delay something, throw that schedule off. And that project manager is in the background because Billy, you know, the warden, you guys go back and watch Billy's episode. Like, he's one of our area managers. He is holding them so fiercely accountable to that schedule. Like, is the schedule updated? Is this on time? Is this right? They're working on that aspect. Like, they have one goal, and that goal is to get the house done on time, on budget. And that's it. Your sales agent has one goal: to get you your dream home on paper that you can afford, so that you'd be willing to move forward and get this thing going. And so they've got a set of hurdles that they're working with too. It's more emotional then, and then it becomes more like, you know, just real time tedious stuff. And then you have all the emotions that go into the fact that, like, you're living in a smaller space, or you're in a travel trailer or something, you know, and then God forbid the holidays come, and, like, there's a lot of tension there. So again, creating that relief valve to where they have someone they can reach out to who can communicate with them. You know, the little details that maybe don't even have anything to do with construction, right? You don't have to be a master builder. You just have to be a people person. So I'm really excited to see this roll out. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.